it away.
Thanks everyone for your patience while I tried to figure that out. So I'm Peggy Bell. I am the Executive Director of Resource Becoming. We're a nonprofit that works in the mining sector to increase diversity across the workplace. I have 15 years in the mining sector with an educational background with an executive MBA, human resources and communications. And I've worked in human resources and marketing communications in the past for global companies. I'm a strong supporter of supporting and attracting young talent. So with that, I am a member of the PDAC Human Resources Committee, and I'm also a mining industry human resources career ambassador. Last week, I spoke to 300 high school students about having a really cool career in mining. Furthermore, I'm a TEDx speaker, author, and I host the weekly LinkedIn live show, The Changing Face of Mining. So if you've ever had a chance to catch one of those episodes, that's me talking to interesting people in the sector that are doing different things. But we're here to talk about resource becoming. One second. And so resource becoming, it's my project where I guide mining executives in building successful work cultures, enabling them to deploy effective strategies that boost the attraction and retention of top-tier talent. So really, these are some of the common themes that we've been looking at today. Again, retaining top performing talent and attracting them. But also in that process, you want to improve the return on investment of your HR activities. If you're having high voluntary turnover, you're constantly recruiting, constantly trying to spend money to retain, that really takes a bite out of your budgets. So what I do is help you to see a better return on that. Also, when you have more diverse workplaces, we know that we decrease safety and we increase production. So all of that combined provides for a more resilient operations within the mining sector. But we are here really to talk about some regulations and protocol adherence. There's some ones that have come out recently. In particular, there is Towards Sustainable Mining just released their equitable, diverse, and inclusive workplaces, and also added psychological safety into the healthy workplaces protocols. And I understand that in the mining sector, we kind of like to pummel everybody with standards, protocols, and regulations. But the adherence to that helps you to have healthier operations and healthier businesses. And there's reasons why we do this. So one is investment. Investors want to see improvements. Many of the organizations on today's call will be reporting under the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI. In particular, I focus on GRI 400, so that would be your workplace metrics. And Towards Sustainable Mining is an avenue to achieve positive improvement within that metric on an ongoing basis. Also, responsible development. Society wants to see more of the mining sector. We expect more of the mining sector now as well, more positive environmental, social, and governance practices. We want to transform that reputation that we have externally to continue to attract that world-class talent and investment that we are somewhat lacking in right now. And talent wants to see a more diverse workplace. Up to 78% of Gen Z and millennials think it's important to prioritize diversity and inclusion. So it really is about building that employee value proposition of your organization that will allow them to choose you over another producer or another operation. And finally, there's operational performance. I mentioned before that with more diverse workplaces, you have better safety metrics and increased production. McKinsey found that diverse mining operations can have up to an 11% increase in production efficiency. So in a sector where we look at 4% efficiency is really fantastic. Imagine if we were hitting double-digit efficiency and how impressed everybody would be, from your board to your investors to your stakeholders, your rights holders, if you're having a positive relationship with them. That's a really powerful statistics that will help us to demonstrate that business case for equity, diversity, and inclusion and the processes that you need. So let's have a quick look at what's training and measurement requirements under Towards Sustainable Mining. So I believe it goes from a C to a AAA. And so many people are kind of sitting in that BA space right now with their operations. And within an A, the bare minimum, you want to have a training and awareness program that exists and are being actioned. So you need to be able to demonstrate that. Moving on to a double A, you want that first metric, plus objectives are being set with public reporting in progress. So you want to be able to demonstrate, whether that's in your sustainability report or your annual report, that you are having these positive improvements on your EDI and you are seeing more diversity, more inclusion, more belonging, positive improvements in that GRI 405. And this is what education and what I'm about to present is what gets you there. And then finally, you have your AAA. And this is the dream, right? Everybody wants to have that AAA. A lot of the organizations are sitting at AAA with their tailings. Also important to sit at a AAA with your people. So you have the first two objectives, plus you have an independent review of leadership competency with reporting on plans for continual improvement. And there's a piece in that that's really important that we provide a solution to that allows you to demonstrate that competency and how your leadership is improving on an ongoing basis. Now, the Critical Minerals Fund was just released, not a protocol, not a regulation, but definitely something that's of interest to a lot of folks out there. So, and there is a required EDI part of that. So if you are looking to ask for funds, if you're looking at putting together a proposal, you will need to demonstrate an EDI program. It's called IDEA in the fund. So it's inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. It's a different term with the same meaning. So if you have over 20 employees, EDI planning and execution must be addressed in your proposal, and it must be measured and communicated. And you may need to commit to up to 4 EDI activities depending on the size of your organization. So if you're between 20 and 50 employees, you need to have 2 or more. If you're over 50, you need to have 4 or more. So as you go through gathering up all your information, you're going to want to keep that in mind. So this is how we help you to achieve this. The first one is our inclusive leadership education, and that builds a system that attracts and supports talent. It helps you learn your strengths and your challenges, not only as an executive or leader, but also within your organization as a whole, because an organization is really like a living, breathing organism as well. You're going to have challenges, you're going to have areas that you want to address, but you're also going to have strengths that you're going to want to capitalize on. So you have to be able to measure and demonstrate that. And that also results this leadership education. It's 6 modules, it takes about 6 months, and it's 21 hours. It creates a culture of inclusion and belonging, which promotes diversity and equity. So it's kind of backwards that we look at equity first. If you don't have that culture that supports your diverse talent, you probably are going to have a retention and turnover problem anyway. So you're going to want to really look at what that culture of belonging is. And because we are a global sector, it's delivered in English, French, or Spanish. And as I mentioned before, these courses have been delivered in heavy industry before, so they are proven. It's scaling it into the mining sector that I'm currently doing. So I mentioned that you also need to have that metrics engine. A lot of the work that we do, especially if you are applying for grants or funding under the Canadian government, is you need to have GBA+, which is gender and intersectional analysis. I don't want to get too far into that. If you have questions about it later, please contact me. But basically what this metric engine does is it allows you to understand your competencies and your workforce. So you can create data sets on your workforce where you can say, I have 50% women, 40% of those are white, 10 are BIPOC or people of color, and I want to be able to give more opportunities to the people of color. But it's just a data set that allows you to understand what your workforce looks like. But the metric engines also allows you to understand the skill set that you have and how many, where you need to improve that. And that really comes into regards as far as team alignment and goals. It gives you a demonstrable and audible data, which you need under these protocols. And it, again, increases your production safety. But we also know education alone doesn't work, which is why you need that measurement and benchmarking. And you'd really learn to where to spend your time and energy so you can create efficient and effective results with your budget. The last thing I want to say is my courses are covered by the Canada Job Grant. So you can get a significant amount of money to offset the investment, up to about $10,000 per person to a cap of 300. So you don't necessarily, because we're a nonprofit, it allows us to work in some magical ways. And so the investment from the operational or from the P&L perspective is not as high because we can offset that with grants. So any questions? Ooh, I'm out of breath now.